So we're going to learn how to have an election in which we have a weighted average. In this one, you'll notice we're not going to have the same prohibition against voting for the same candidate several times. So we'll get 3 votes, 3 points for a first place vote, 2 points for a second place vote, 1 point for a third place vote. And we're going to use the idea of a range, a defined range. And so I'm going to show that to you. So we're going to format, and that is not here, so I always forget where it is. Data. So under data, it's a named range. Okay? And so it's really a very useful concept. So the named range 1, we're going to call that first choice. So you notice how I do it out. So a lot of programs will do this with a small, first word is small, and then the second word is a capital so you can see it. You can probably put a space in between, but in the old days we couldn't do that. Okay, so that will be, so we're going to be looking at everything from A2, and if I do A, it'll do the whole range there. So you'll see it'll name it as A2 to 1,000. Okay, and so then we're going to do another one, which will be our second choice. So we do our second choice. Okay, and so this is really a very, very useful thing to have mastered. Okay, and so we're going to do that one as being B2 to B, which says all of B after B2. And we'll do that. And that'll be our second choice. And then finally, our third choice is going to start with this guy. So we're going to add another named range. Third choice, and that's going to be for C2 all the way, all of C, from C2 down. And then we have our 3 columns. Okay. And so we look and we say, well, who do we have for candidates? We've got these 3 candidates. Okay. So we're going to make a row for each. And what we're going to do, I guess, is let's copy that in there. Let's just copy it in. Okay. So we'll copy that into Mickey Mouse. And we've got Donald Duck. And we're going to count up their vote totals. And we have the Roadrunner. We're going to use a, so I'm going to make these guys a little smaller here so we can see what we're doing. And so I'm going to use a, it's a command called COUNTIF. Okay? So I'm going to count if, and I'm going to look at first choice. So I'm going to look at that range first choice. And you notice how it has highlighted that first column with Mickey Mouse. So first choice, and I'm going to say if you find in it, and what are we looking for Mickey Mouse? We're looking at what's in D2. So we look for what's in D2. And so at first let's just do this. And let's see, well, in that row, how many first choice guys are there? And we say, okay, are there 10 Mickey Mouse? And it looks like there are, right? Okay. So we say, all right, we've got 10 of those. But then you say, well, oh, we should really give him times 3, shouldn't we? So we say, okay, let's do him times 3. So he gets 30 points for those 10 first place votes. Now let's go ahead and drag his formula down. Okay. And so if we look at the next one, we say, well, what we want to then do is how many Donald Duck votes were there? Well, were there 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There were, right? So it changed. So if you look, it says, well, D3, and the next one, D2, D3, and then Roadrunner, there were just 2 votes. So now let's see what happens if we take this guy over. So we're going to pull him over, and you'll see there's a problem. So we go over here, and we say we want first choice to be E2. Well, we don't want it to be E2. We want it to be D2. Okay, so what we can do then is we go back to the original formula, and we say, you know what? We want it to always be D2. Okay, and so what you can do there is you can say, I'm going to do a capital D. So I always want to get it from the D column. Okay? So now we say, let's pull that formula over. And we get 30 points because we're looking in first choice. But there's 2 problems there. See if you can see them, right? So what we want to do is we want to say, no, now we're looking for Mickey Mouse in the second choice. And when we find him in the second choice, we don't multiply by 3, we multiply by 2. Let's see how that did. So that means we must have had 7. So we have 7 votes for Mickey. Now let's try and pull that down and see what happens. So if we pull that down, let's see what we get. So that would say, did we have 4 votes for Donald Duck in there? And it turns out we did, right? So when we look at that, we say, okay, we want the guy from D3, Donald Duck, second choice. And then we want the guy from D4, Roadrunner. There must have been 5 of him. Okay, all of that times 2. So let's make our columns a little narrower. We just have one more thing to do, which is to get the third place votes, right? So let's get the third place votes. And those, do we have to still do the multiplication? Okay, you ask yourself that, right? So we go over to here, and we say, okay, it's not. This column is trying to get the third choice. So we need to just multiply by 1 point. Do you actually have to multiply? No, you don't really need to multiply. Right? So you say, okay, I'm going to go here. So then were there 7 votes for Mickey Mouse there? And we pull down and we say, were there 4 votes for Donald Duck? Yes. Well, Roadrunner looks like he had 2 votes, so let's go down and see what we get there. And there's 2 votes for Roadrunner. All right, now we want to find out who won, because we're going by total points. So how would you do that? So one way to do it is just to say, let's add up this sum. So we're going to add up E2 plus F2 plus G2. So we add those up, and we get 51 points. And let's see if we can pull that formula down. Okay, so we look at this, 36, 18. Okay, so that is the way that you could do this. So go ahead and give that a try. I think you'll find that's a very useful practice for you.